The Super Speedway Podcast is a Dream Bigger media production. For news, photos, show notes, and information about advertising on the podcast, visit www.thesuperspeedway.com.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
That one's tough. I really wanted to beat him. I was going to wreck him. I was wanting to stay close enough so that when we took the white, I was just going to drive straight into 3 and 4. I mean, he's already won. He figured he can give a little love to his brother. No.
The older brother especially.
I wanted that one bad. I feel like him right now. I'm all like, I'm all mad because I didn't win. But this car, we're struggling on qualifying. We struggle on taking off. And I just can't get that right rear to grip until it gets heat in it. And it's hard to be patient when you're running for the win on old tires. So I'm happy that we were in position to do it. This group of guys, we're not quite ready to win yet, but that was close. And I was going to wreck my little brother to win today, but I just, with 3 laps to go, I stepped out in turn 1, and I wasn't close enough after that.
Welcome to episode 103 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Wednesday, April 10th, 2019. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, Kurt Busch kicks us off tonight.
Kurt Busch, he was mad. I loved it. You know, he was saying that he was mad, but he sounded pretty happy with that second place finish.
Yeah, I mean, he's having a great year, and I think the thing that's become the most obvious with Kurt is that I think, and I don't know what all went into the background, to get him in that ride that he's in, but I would like to hope that Chevy had something to do with that. That Chevy wanted somebody in there with some experience other than just Jimmy Johnson that could give them some information and help them get that car where it needs to be, because he's a guy that can do it. He's a guy that he knows what a top-notch car feels like and can give them the input to get it there.
Well, he's coming from the best equipment in the garage the previous year.
Exactly.
And he's carried over. He's outrun all of his former Stewart-Haas teammates to this point.
Yep.
I mean, I think Harvick's a little higher in the points, but right now Kurt's, we're 8 races in. He's got 6 top 10s, and he's got an average finish of 8.6. So, I mean, he's doing really well.
Right.
I mean, we can't talk about Kyle Busch enough, so we might as well start with the second place guy.
Yeah, we might as well. It was the Food City 500 this weekend from Bristol Motor Speedway. Kyle Busch, as James mentioned, does get the win. That's 17 wins this season so far, something like that.
Yeah, he's got a win in 50% of all of the top 3 races so far this year.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Probably would have won the Xfinity race if he would have been allowed to race in it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, the thing is you kind of have to give him something there. He spun out on the first lap. I mean, first lap wreck.
Yeah, got clipped, and that could have been a whole lot worse. But I think Brian Priest was the one who clipped him and gave him a lot. He saved it just enough to save the car.
I saw it that you're looking at that spoiler. It didn't look like anything was banged up too bad up there. The deck lid was all in the right shape. It's like he's still going to be a factor. This is Bristol. Yeah. This is Kyle's place.
Yeah, and he didn't dominate. I mean, he led 71 laps, but he didn't dominate the way Kyle Busch has dominated races to win. But where he dominated was those restarts. My goodness.
Yeah, there is nobody better than restarting right now in NASCAR than Kyle Busch.
Nobody I don't think I've ever seen anybody better at restarts than him. He is the best in the business and has been for years. He's been the best restarter for at least 5 years.
Right.
And that's not going away. He's got it on lockdown.
So a pit strategy comes into play at the end to essentially give Kyle the chance to win it. A bunch of teams don't take tires. The teams do take tires aren't able to make it up through those guys to get to Kyle, and Kyle runs away with it for the most part. Kurt was trying to chase him down. Before we start talking about the other drivers, because really that's more interesting than Kyle winning again, I did want to play a clip from the press conference because you heard the intro with Kurt Busch saying he would have wrecked his brother, which Kurt's been asked since then whether he really would have wrecked his brother, and he says, yeah. But Kyle responded in the press conference. This is what Kyle had to say about it.
He told me in Victory Lane, and I told him, I was like, you can't tell people that you're going to wreck them before you do it, because when roles are reversed, that person's going to wreck you because you've already told them that you were going to wreck them. So I guess if I'm ever running second to Kurt, I'm going to wreck him. But, it's just, I don't know. I'm glad it didn't turn out that way, and he couldn't get to me because I certainly wouldn't have wanted to been in that situation. So I'm just glad that I could finally hit my marks halfway decent and drive away a few more inches there towards the end of the race. And I think he was trying really, really hard. And I seen him get kind of crossed up in my mirror a couple times off of 2, and I think he got in the fence once or twice. So that just gave me that little extra gap that I needed to be able to bring it home.
So what do we think? Do we have a Kurt Kyle, duel here going into the season?
Nah, they're cool. They're cool. Did you see Claire B. Lang's video after the race of Kurt congratulating him in victory lane and talking to Brexton? It's pretty cool. If you look up Claire B. Lang's Twitter feed, she's got the video posted on there. But no, I think it's a little bit more for show than anything else. But I would have loved to have seen Kurt got really dang close.
Would he have done it?
I think he would have gave him the bumper.
I think he would have too.
I don't think he would have spun him out intentionally, but I think he would have gave him the bumper. Heck yeah, why not? Like he said, Kyle's locked into the playoffs. He ain't worried about nothing. He's fine.
I feel like I believe it that Kurt would have driven at Days of Thunder style into turn 3.
Yeah, you want to believe that, right? Just pile drives him.
He'd have been coming out with the steering wheel or the checkered flag, one or the other.
Well, and Logano was kind of hawking him down at that point, but he was still too far away, so he was probably hoping they would get to. I mean, they've gotten together before a few times.
Well, we had the famous.
The All-Star race,
yeah,
most famous. They stopped talking to each other for a while
right.
after that.
And that's the thing. Like Kyle's joking about it right now, and I feel like of those two now, it's funny to say that Kurt's the mature one of the two, but I feel like if Kyle wrecked Kurt, Kurt would get over it quicker than if Kurt wrecked Kyle. And it's really easy for Kyle to laugh about it after he won the race, and I don't know, who knows? I mean, Kyle, when Harvick bumped him out of the way at New Hampshire last year, we were expecting Kyle to be ticked off, and he wasn't. He was fine with it. And, he had the run-in with Larson, and those guys were both happy about that. And so maybe, who knows? I mean...
I think it's a lot less pressure now, today, when you've got the playoff system the way it is, and Kyle Busch locked in as much as he is. I don't think he would be like... I think he'd be mad that he didn't get the win, because that's all Kyle cares about.
Right.
But... he'd get over it.
I think a lot of it would have to do with the style too. Coming to the checkered flag, I think it's pretty well fair game, and I think both of those guys know that.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, like Harvick bumped Kyle out of the way. Harvick didn't wreck Kyle. I really don't think Kurt would have all out wrecked him, because first of all, Kurt's not going to put himself at risk. But I think if he'd gotten the bumper, he sure would have given him a pretty good shot. So I don't know. I guess it depends on what the contact was. We can sit here and what if it all day and dream of how great that would have been to see the brothers feud. It'd have been so much fun to see. And but the interviews after were fun, and it's fun to talk about.
Heck yeah. Because I mean, like I said earlier, we're going to talk about Kyle Busch winning. I mean, it's seriously we have to have something to talk about. Like Kyle's dominating this season. My goodness.
Right. Well, speaking of domination, Kyle, of course, like you said, did not dominate the race. He led 71 laps, but two guys pretty much dominated it. And they were both Penske drivers, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, both with strong days. Joey led 146. Blaney led 158 laps on the day. I mean, that's most of your race right there.
Yep. And throw Brad Keselowski in there. You got another 40 laps led. And he had his late race issues where he got black flagged, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, Penske and Gibbs, it's just the same 1-2 punch this year. And Menard, for all credit to be due, he had a good run. He was running third there with a couple laps to go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great. I mean, I don't know. I don't know who's going to knock off this Penske Gibbs rough shot that they're running on this series right now, because we're going to Richmond, and I mean, Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin come to mind right there. It's like I don't see this coming to an end here anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree. It's these two teams right now for sure. Let's talk a little bit about Brad. So Brad comes out. Do we go with what we saw on TV, or do we go with what the actual explanation was, James?
Well, I think, and Brad cooled down, but he was pretty hot afterwards. But yeah, something happened with.
Basically, what happened is the way the Bristol is, because the pit road's so much shorter than the track. It's one of the few places where you're faster on pit road than you are on the track, under caution. And the way it works is you can't pass a guy who's on the track, obviously, because it's under caution. But when they came out of pit road, there's not a guy with a paddle anymore standing at the end of pit road. There is a light there, which I don't know if it's even used anymore, but I know there's a light there. I've taken pictures of it. And they basically blended out of pit road into the cars that were still on the track. And so I know, listening to Door Bumper Clear podcast this week, Brett Griffin's a spotter for Clint Boyer. They were losing their minds because Keselowski was ahead of Clint, even though Clint didn't pit. And so basically their coming to get the green flag. They're on one to go. They're on the backstretch, and NASCAR finally realizes that there's a problem, calls off the restart. They're telling Brad to get where he's supposed to go, and Brad didn't get there. They come around, they wave off the restart, they come back around the next time. He's still not where he's supposed to be. They wave the green flag and black flag him. Brad's ticked off because he didn't realize that he was in the wrong spot, essentially. But I think what it comes down to, and I think this is one of those things, and I'm not blaming, I don't even remember who the new race director is, but with David Hoots leaving.
I was going to say that. This is where I was going to go.
It's not his fault necessarily, the new guy's fault, but it's different. And I understand as being a race director at our local track that you put a different person in the tower and a different person's talking to you. The procedure's different and it messes with you. Even if they're consistent in their own mind, it's not consistent to you. David Hoots has been doing this for how many years? These guys have all just dealt with David.
Yep.
And I think that's the biggest issue. And it's going to be growing pains we're going to have to deal with. And I mean, people heard Hoots on the radio. They knew who they were hearing and they knew what to do. And they
had that language. They spoke the same, even
right.
if they weren't, even if they couldn't quite, even if the new race director's saying the same exact thing, it's not
right.
the same language sometimes.
Well, and there's been errors this year. We've seen that there's been errors. We've had qualifying errors. We've had issues. And NASCAR is not going to come out and say it's because of this, but it's pretty obvious it's because there's new people in the tower. Yeah, and again, that's not anybody's fault. It's something that's going to happen, but it looks silly when, it's your...
Well, you got to have on-the-job training sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, I'm kind of mad you took my point because I was going there because I don't think anybody's talking enough about David Hoots isn't around.
Yeah, there's been talk on. I think DBC has been the most, and I don't think you listen to DBC much, do you?
I sometimes check it.
Brett Griffin is always willing to share his opinion on anything, and he's brought it up quite a few times. He's not upset about it, but again, he's saying the same thing that I'm saying here, that it's different and it's not what you're used to. And that's what Brad was even saying. He said, usually they'll read off if they're not getting it, you'll read off. Okay. It's the 10, the 12, the 17, the 14, that order. Well, they didn't do that. They just kept saying the 6 car needs to go ahead or so-and-so needs to be ahead of the 6 car or whatever. And it just was a different language than they're saying the same thing, but they're not. And so we're going to see stuff like this. And again, like you said, you have to have on-the-job training. Sometimes you can sit here and talk about this all day, but until you experience it.
Learn, Yeah. How else do you learn a job like this unless you go through it?
Yep.
That you can't really practice it. You can practice on lower levels, but you're still going to make mistakes along the way. It's just the way it is.
Right. Not that Hoots was perfect because we've had issues there too.
Yeah, Hoots was not perfect, but we all liked Hoots. Well,
and there's something too about it being your 5th race, or it being
Hoots
your
did the 500 as well,
right? Or it being your 20th year of it, that when you make a mistake, it's more obvious and you're less willing to accept it than somebody who's been doing it forever. So, like I said, it's something we're gonna have to deal with. But a big deal for Brad, but.
Brad's in the playoffs. He's fine.
Yeah.
Same thing we were talking about with Kyle. He's in good shape.
Yep. It happens.
He's not worried.
Let's talk a little bit about Bristol, James. I have a theory on this, and I think I've discussed it on the podcast before. But first of all, I don't think you can say this was a bad race by any means. I'd argue this is the best race of the year so far. What do you think?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's right. It was pretty entertaining all the way through, I thought.
So I have a theory that Bristol has never been a bad race. Even when we were having bad, and I use the quote fingers here, even when we were having bad races at Bristol was not a bad race. I think we've gone far enough from the Bristol of old that we've forgotten a little bit about what the Bristol of old was, and we're starting to appreciate what the new Bristol is. Yeah. I don't think it has. I think the grip stuff has helped. I think the fact that the track's worn has helped. But I think if you got rid of that stuff, we'd still appreciate these races more, because we saw the wreck at the beginning and you had the conveyor belt thing where a bunch of cars piling in afterwards, but we're still not seeing the bump and runs and stuff that we've seen before, but we're seeing a different style of, okay, now it's the top groove and the bottom groove coming together, coming off the corner, and they're slapping sideways versus bumping each other out of the way. Honestly, when they reconfigured Bristol, they were running three wide in the turns on a half-mile track. That's not bad racing.
Right.
It just wasn't what we'd seen before.
Right.
We've since forgotten what we'd seen before, and we've come to appreciate the new Bristol. And
yeah, we've and they've strung together when they put down the whatever we're calling it, the grip TJ1 or whatever.
Traction
When they
compound.
Yeah, whatever they figured out, the way that they're laying it down now is perfect.
Yeah.
Because that bottom groove is just as good as the top groove. You can really get a lot of speed out of there. And you know, that Kurt Busch Kyle Busch battle at the end of the race was a perfect example. Kurt was really rocking it on the high side and was able to make a ton of ground until Kyle had to move up and kind of take his line away. So
Right.
and that's good racing. You want a two groove track where you can have two different lines. You know, it just makes for better racing. You see it, like you said, Eric. It's been 12 years since we've
Right.
had the old conveyor belt system. You know, that's quite a long time. You don't think about it. You don't think it's that long, but yeah, I agree. The racing's been good, been consistent. I think people were mad there for a while because it was so clean.
Right.
That was the problem. It was good racing, but it was clean racing, and that's not what people were expecting. They wanted the rough and rowdy.
Right. And it's still way cleaner than it used to be.
It is, yeah.
But we're okay with that now.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, I thought it was still a great race,
Yeah.
and that night race last fall was top notch.
Yeah.
And now that the night race is going into the playoffs,
It's going to increase the intensity.
Yep.
Those playoff races are automatically more intense, and
Yes.
it's going to amp that race up for sure.
Yep, it's going to ratchet it up even more, which, you know, and we see it with the fall race at Martinsville. Like, it's chaotic. So I think it's going to carry over as well. It's just going to add that little extra pressure that these guys need to really, you know, get out of their comfort zone from time to time.
So we're going to talk about attendance in a minute here, but before we get into that, I do want to do a little rant on attendance here because, so first of all, I want everybody to take in consideration. Yes, Bristol looks really empty. The problem is that every track on the circuit has reduced seating, except Bristol. Now, that's not entirely true because Bristol has reduced seating.
Bristol and Texas. Texas doesn't
correct.
Reduce, I don't think. Somewhat, yeah, but there's a few.
Yeah,
but, right.
So Bristol has reduced seating. They've taken lower level seating in the turns out and put specialty areas in. They've also been hanging banners from the suites, which block off like 8 rows of seats at the top that you can no longer sit in, which you probably never notice, except that you notice the banners are there, but there's seats behind those banners. That being said, that place seats 160,000, and you can still put 80, 90,000 people in there, which is a good crowd for most tracks, and it looks pretty empty. That being said, and we'll talk about possibly why this is an issue in a minute, but everybody is clamoring for short tracks. We want more short tracks. We want more. Get rid of these big tracks. Let's build some short tracks. Let's go to these short tracks. Show up to the short tracks then. Get to Bristol. Fill that place. If you're not going to Bristol, one of the best short tracks in the world, why in the heck is NASCAR going to put a bunch of seats in at ORP or, run it to South Boston or anything like that when you have a track right there? It's ready and people aren't showing up to it. That's my issue. And I know I'm part of the problem. I didn't end up going to Bristol. I sat on the sidelines and I'm complaining about it with also being part of the problem. But that being said, I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah, it's not coming back, guys. I don't know what people are screaming about. Like, NASCAR is a 30,000 to 55,000 person in attendance sport at this point, and it's in its evolution. It's not coming back.
I mean, look, though, you look at a football game, an NFL game. What are you seating in a football game? Maybe 40 to 60,000, probably.
Yep. And an NBA game is 12 or 15,000 in a full basketball hockey arena. That's the same. I mean, Bristol. Compared to what they did with seating last year at Bristol and condensing the seating, it actually looked pretty good to me.
Yeah.
I mean, don't worry about what the turns look like. Look at what the main grandstands look like, and they were pretty full. I mean, they were pretty good.
And I almost made this a Do We Care topic, but we may have already had this as a Do We Care topic. But at the same time that I'm ranting about people not going to the track, I am really sick and damn tired of talking about attendance because I don't really care.
No, if you like racing, it's nice because you get to go to the track and not have to worry about all the people
Exactly.
anymore.
There's no traffic. You don't have to wait half the race to use the bathroom. The lines at the concession stands are shorter. It's way better. If you want to get a ticket the day of the race, you can. That's awesome. There was a waiting list for Bristol for the night race that they stopped keeping it because people would die before, before they made the list. And so the fact that you can get a ticket to the Bristol night race the week of the Bristol night race is freaking amazing. So take advantage of that. And the NASCAR and whatever, they're all making money off the TV contracts anyway. As long as the race is on TV and NASCAR is not going bankrupt and the TV contracts are still in place, I don't really care about ratings. I don't really care about people in the seats. I just want to watch the race. Yeah. So I know we're going to talk about ratings and seating and all that crap more this season, but I'm tired of it.
It's always going to be a topic, and it's just.
I'd like to say we're banning it from the podcast, but we're going to be discussing it again.
Well, and it should be discussed to certain points. The
fans shouldn't care.
Right.
We should care. The media should care. Right. The driver's team should care. The fans shouldn't care.
You and I always talk about this whenever we get to Bristol, and we always talk about it on the podcast. This is the one place where it hurts a little bit.
It is.
This is the twisting of the knife.
I don't know. Daytona hurts pretty bad too when they used to have that giant grandstand in the backstretch full.
Yeah, Daytona restructured it just right where it's so massive on the front stretch now that if you don't think about the backstretch as much. But yeah, I agree. I do agree with you. But yeah, Bristol being over half empty I see where it gets in people's craw because that is one of the holy grounds. But I mean, there's more people at Bristol than go to Indianapolis, and
I'd hate to see them tear seats out of Bristol too. I love the way that place looks with the stadium style. I hope they don't ever tear it out.
Yeah, they could do something different. I mean, they could take some seats out and do something different, but you got to keep the Coliseum style. Yep. The night race will have good attendance. Yep. It's people can't afford. We're doing different things, and people they can't afford is probably too strong, but people are doing different things with their money. And they're not going to 2 cup races at Bristol anymore. This is not the way they're doing it.
Well, when everybody's got it, I mean, I just bought a 55-inch TV. I mean, everybody's got a big TV. They've got internet. You can listen to the scanner from home. You've got a comfortable couch. You've got surround sound. I get it.
That's the reason I never want to go to another NFL game in my life. It's so much better at home than
exactly.
I mean, why would I ever go to an NFL game when I can just stay home and have a better experience?
Well, it's like I wanted to go to the Winter Classic when it was in Michigan, and I sat at home and watched it in the warmth.
Yeah, heck yeah, I know. TVs are so good now.
Exactly. So let's talk about winners and losers real quick before we go back to the attendance thing that we said we aren't going to talk about anymore. So who we got on as our winners and losers on the day? I guess let's start with Eric Almirola as probably the biggest loser on the day.
Yeah, it's a bummer. He had a nice little string of top 10s going, and he just never even had a chance to race.
Yeah, gets in trouble on the first lap, and they didn't really go too in-depth on it on TV, but the way I gather is he basically accidentally pulled into the garage.
Yeah.
And once you're in there, you're done.
You're done, yep. Damage. Yeah, the damage clock runs out on you or something like that.
I hate that rule.
Yeah, I mean.
It's stupid.
Yeah,
I get it.
We've had it for a few years now, and it's a bummer, but it's the rules.
I hate it.
Another loser for me is Stenhouse, because this could have been a really good race for him, and again, he got caught up on that same crash. Yep. So one of his shots to win his way into the playoffs is gone.
Yep.
Right now.
Daniel Hemrick, man, he needs to do something in that 8 car right now. He finished 30th.
He had a rough go of it. He backed her into the fence pretty good.
Yeah.
I saw there was a couple. I mean, the William Byron kept finding trouble, and then late him and Larson got into it again, and that just kind of ruined both of their days.
I know we've already bailed on Larson, but man, this kid, he has got to start winning some freaking races.
Yeah. Well, he's going to a place he likes here this week, so maybe
Bristol's a place he likes.
I know, but he just wasn't. He sucks
at Bristol, but he likes it. Or no, it's Martinsville. Martinsville's the one he likes.
And the way
Bristol he's good at. Martinsville he sucks at. Sorry.
The way that Kurt Busch is running right now, he's kind of throwing some dirt on the kid a little bit.
Yeah.
So got a lot of work to do.
I was going to, and I forgot to put it in the notes, and we probably don't have time to discuss it, but in a future podcast here, we're going to discuss the most overrated drivers right now in NASCAR in the Cup Series.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a few, and I don't think any of the kids are living up to the hype at all.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't put Larson in as an overrated
No,
just yet.
I sure
He's
as heck
on.
would.
I know, and we've got mad at him on this podcast before, but sometimes that team he's driving for worries me a little bit more than most.
yeah,
I know
That's
he
true.
found some success with them, but it's not like he's in even he's not like he's even in Hendrick equipment at this point.
that's
Which
true. I
will
mean, he was a championship contender the last 2 years had he not had mechanical issues. So
They worry me from time to time. But
that's true. Some winners on the day. Let's see. Obviously, Kurt Busch. We talked about him getting the second place finish. Paul Menard finishes 6th.
Yeah, he had a good strong run.
He
I'm
was-
not even going to say anything bad about him.
he
He
was running
had a
well.
good run. Pit strategy helped him out a little bit, and he was there.
Yep.
He made a nice day out of it.
Ryan
Another-
Newman got 9th.
Yep, Daniel Suarez, another good run for him.
Yep. Matt
Um,
DiBenedetto,
Yeah, the
12th place
burrito.
finish.
Nice run there. Somebody who's been sneaky getting better since it seemed like he bottomed out at Martinsville. Jimmy Johnson
Mhm.
is starting to string some nice runs together.
Yep.
Way to keep an eye on.
He'll be winning. He'll get a win or two this year. It's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
I don't want to say it yet, but he's trending in the right direction.
If Jimmy wasn't in a Chevrolet, I think he'd have a win.
Yeah. Big winner for me on the day is the 15th place finisher, Ty Dillon.
Yeah.
He won stage 1
Yep.
Which is
First time
really
stage
cool.
winner.
and really battled it. Really battled Boyer.
Yeah.
Took it from him. Was fantastic race to the end of the stage.
Yep.
So people who dog stage racing, there's another really good example of why stage racing is really cool. It was a heck of a finish to the green and white checkered flag.
Yeah. Agree. All right. Do we care, James? Go ahead.
Oh God, yeah. So apparently, the hotel prices are to blame for Bristol attendance.
I actually have an opinion on this because I've lived it.
Right. So well, you're the right person to ask about that. And I actually
Yes.
thought about that. But anyway, so Clinton Boyer went on Twitter and he had done some cold calling to find out what prices were. And they were high, $319 for one and $308 for another. But that's going to be anywhere you go. Like, you want to get a hotel the day you call ahead for a hotel the day of, especially during a peak event or something.
Okay, hold on with this day of
You're
stuff.
probably going to get gouged a little bit.
Actually, honestly, from what I understood, if you called the day of at Bristol, you got better prices because
Well, and that's what Boyer said.
they're all
He-
running 70% capacity because they can't sell the rooms that they have at the prices they're at.
Right.
I
So-
am opening up my trusty.
You lived this more so than anybody. But I remember I was planning a weekend, like a little vacation with the family, and we were going to get a hotel room, and the prices are like ridiculous. And then I realized, they have there was some sort of a big festival up near Traverse City. Like it was the film festival or the cherry festival, one of those silly festivals that they do up there. And I was like, that's why the prices are so high. Of course they're going to gouge you.
Right.
So that's going to happen from time to time when you're looking for hotel prices. But people, the prices of hotel rooms are not what's dropped attendance in NASCAR races. It's like the 1% problem.
So here's the problem, though, with Bristol is that you either stay in one of two towns, which is basically Bristol or
Johnson City isn't
Johnson City. Kingsport is close. There's a couple little places that you can stay, and if you don't stay there, you stay an hour and a half away from the track.
Right.
And that's the problem. Whereas like Michigan, for example, you can stay in Ann Arbor, which is 45 minutes from the track, and Ann Arbor prices don't really ever change because it's a city. It's always like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of business being done there.
Chicagoland's like that. Chicagoland, every hotel around there deals with Chicago traffic or Southern Chicago traffic. And so the race is just a blip on the radar and doesn't really matter.
Yep.
Kentucky, I stay in Cincinnati, which is 45 minutes away from the track or so. And that, again, Cincinnati is, it's a city. It's a little expensive, but it's always expensive. So
yeah, it's like staying in Detroit. You're always going to pay high prices when you're in Detroit, no matter
Right.
what you do. It's just the way it is. It's going to be, a little bit higher than most, but not so high that you can't, survive. So.
Right. I'm stalling here because I
Anyway,
should have had this.
obviously we care about this topic. I think we care in different reasons though, because I just don't want people to think like the way this was being portrayed is that all this price gouging and stuff is really affecting attendance when honestly it's really not. There's a ton of other factors outside of hotel prices that are the reason for attendance issues. It's not, I don't know. If people want to go to a race, they're going to go to the race. They're going to figure it out.
So
For
here's
for
where
real
my situation was.
split it with your buddies and you'll be fine.
Right. Here's where my situation was, and let me see here if I can find.
Yeah, because you got
So-
basically screwed out of your hotel room and had to scramble to find something, and you were able to find something.
Let me tell the story. All right. So, yeah, basically I got screwed out of my room because they tried to charge me a month in advance and my credit card flagged it. Which again, another one of those things that I can't cancel. A month in advance, I'm getting charged on my credit card for a room that I haven't stayed in yet. But so that happened and I decided to try and find another room. And let's see. I will leave the hotel name out of this. But I was able to find a hotel in Johnson City, that had rooms available. This was the only hotel I could find that allowed me to cancel, I think 48 hours in advance and without a penalty. So April 4th, which was Thursday night, the nightly rate was $47.02. April 5th on Friday night, $132.99. April 7th, which I think was Saturday night or
That would have
Sunday.
been Saturday, yeah.
$142.49. $520.63 was the estimated total for this room from April 4th through April 8th. I would have left April 8th. So I get it. Not to mention, right. So I did this and it's like, well, it was still cheaper than the one I was going to stay in because the one that I was going to stay in was going to cost me about $100 more than that. So I booked the room and then I immediately went to Yelp just for the heck of it to see what I was going to be dealing with. On Yelp, this hotel, which again will remain nameless, has a 1-star rating.
Which you are a loyal customer of.
Yes.
I think.
Yes. 1-star rating. First review. Worst hotel ever been. Dirty room, disgusting restroom full of hair of a previous customer. Customer service is absolutely useless. In 3 days, they cleaned the room just once. They only offered a clean bath towel and soap. Another review. Poor quality. Bricks holding up the air conditioner. Bed collapsing on the headboard corner. Price is way too much for this rundown, filthy establishment. Staff is nice but cannot overcome the conditions. There was another review. Let's see. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. There's a bunch of pictures on here that show the dirty, moldy. There's a swimming pool in the back that is empty. I mean,
it's
literally
like a horror
just
story.
Yeah, it looks like the bathtub from Psycho. And so I immediately canceled this room and I went on Airbnb and found an Airbnb that was much more affordable, still around the same price range, but more affordable. And it was a whole house. So
Yes.
there are alternatives, but not every track has that. Michigan, again, I use it as an example. At least from where I've searched, there is nothing Airbnb around Michigan.
No, that's a tough area because it's more. Yeah, I get it.
Nowhere.
I mean, I get it.
So I do think this is an issue. I don't think it's the only issue, but people talk about the cost, and the cost anymore it's not the ticket. The tickets are pretty reasonable for the most part. Yes, you can still buy a really expensive ticket to the race, but what's Michigan charging for their all-you-can-eat seats? They're not much, and you get freaking food all day long.
Yeah,
as much as you can eat, and then there's deals like that everywhere.
Yeah,
I mean, I know Chicagoland, I believe Kentucky as well have the all-you-can-eat seats too. It's there's cheaper options at the track. This is just an area that NASCAR can't control. And short of having the tracks buy a bunch of hotel rooms around the track and run them and not raise the prices, there's no way this is going to get fixed. So
we are passionate about hotel rooms around here.
Yeah, I will say,
by God,
honestly, if you really want to do it right, go camp.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Most of these tracks have campgrounds around them, and the campgrounds are really reasonable, and usually they're run by the track.
Yeah, and they're a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you got to stay in a tent, it can suck, especially if the weather's bad. But shoot, you can rent a camper trailer for the price that these hotel rooms are and stay right on the track property. So,
Yep. Bring your own, whatever you want to do. There's a lot of options out there. It's not just hotel rooms, people.
yep, there you go. So I think we spent enough time on that. I don't know if you have anything to add, James.
That's perfect.
So let's talk about some news items. And I have one to add, and I'm going to start with it. This was not a surprise to me at all, but today there was an announcement. Let me pull it up here. I got to get in the right email. So Michigan International Speedway made an announcement today, which I was expecting because last year when I was there, they had a panel of their scoreboard not working, and they had a false panel up in place of it. Well, today, MIS announced they are working on a new scoreboard for 2019 to enhance the fan experience. The scoreboard will have 4 gigantic video screens at the bottom, showing replays, etc. So some of the stuff that a lot of the tracks are doing. 12-foot by 19-foot wide screens at the base of the leaderboard, 44 feet above the ground. So,
those bad boys are going to be nice.
Yep, the new leaderboard stretches 72 feet above the video screen and will totally encase all 4 sides. It's going to be a pretty cool deal. So they're already working on it. They don't have any sketches or anything what it's actually going to look like, but they've got all the panels down from the old one, and they are in the process of working on it. So,
Saw that came from our buddies from MIS this afternoon. I think that email came through. So
yes, it did. So
pretty cool.
Big announcement of the week. Darrell Waltrip announces that 2019 will be his last year in the booth. How do we want to start this one, James? So we talked about it last week. Jenna Fryer had the big article that basically outed him. We kind of agreed with Jenna Fryer. Since then, we heard that this announcement was in the works for quite a while, and that basically James and I kind of had the opinion during the week that Jenna kind of jumped the gun on this and made a story out of something that she should have just let DW do his thing. So the opinions changed a little bit. And then Jenna was a guest on Door Bumper Clear this week and got to discuss a little bit about the article and how it came about. And I encourage all of you to go check out the podcast because literally probably half hour to 40 minutes is spent discussing this. I pulled a minute and almost 2 minutes out of it to play here for you, which kind of gives a little bit of the gist of it. But I seriously encourage, as a journalist, as somebody who works in this industry, I very much sympathize with what happened with Jenna. But here's her explanation, then we'll talk about it a little bit. So here's what Jenna had to say on DBC.
It was my understanding that DW had been encouraged to announce his retirement at Daytona, and he resisted and did not do that. And now it was my understanding, and nobody corrected this, that it was going to be at Charlotte Motor Speedway in May. And I felt, and the people, the pressure, the various elements of this industry, the product each week was untenable. And the sooner he announced his plans, I felt that everyone could just move on. You would not watch the broadcast and just sit there and roll your eyes and complain. And I just felt like it would calm it down if he announced. And if he went ahead and did it. And because now I think that people, and I think that you're seeing that, whether it was from my article or simply because he's retiring, this overwhelming, love for DW that has come out of nowhere, when for the last 4 years, it's been hate. It's been total hate. Yeah. So now this guy's on his victory lap, which is wonderful for DW. It was not meant to be disrespectful. The tone was flippant. But I feel honest, and I feel that every critic who has had something to say, not one of them has said I was wrong. I feel like the timing was obviously terrible and regretful.
But you didn't know that.
But I maintain that at any point Fox had said to me that he's retiring next week, he's going to announce it next week. If at any point they had said that, then either the article probably would not have been written at all and or looked much differently.
So Jenna talked a lot about the fact that she went to Fox, and Fox knew this article was coming and never said anything about this potential announcement, which I kind of feel like probably didn't exist until the article came out. She also talked a little bit about the fact that being a writer for the AP, she's not there to cover the races like a lot of the reporters are. So she's not there to write about, Brad Keselowski's penalty or who got the pole this week. That's not what Jenna's there for. Jenna's there to look at more of a broader scope of NASCAR and to talk about to look into the stuff that people are talking about. And one of the major things that people are talking about is how bad Darrell has been in the booth and how they feel like he's overstayed his welcome. And again, I don't mean any disrespect to Darrell, but I maintain, honestly, and I've agreed and disagreed with Jenna in the past, I maintain that there's nothing she wrote in there that wasn't accurate. That's my thought. Yes, the timing sucked, but I don't think that was her fault. What do you have on it, James?
Yeah. My only pushback is why didn't she, instead of, because I read the piece and
Right.
I think everybody's read the piece. It was a lot of, well, Fox should do this or Fox should do that. She says on the podcast, it was my understanding that his announcement was to come in Daytona. Why not report that? Where's the story on what you're hearing out of Fox instead of doing the tarnishing of DW? Why not? And maybe going after the TV partners, not the best thing in the world for NASCAR media to be doing.
Right.
But where's that piece of it? That was not covered in her article. That's my and she says, and I agree with her that the timing was terrible.
Right.
And that's a hindsight. That's armchair quarterback.
The other thing that isn't noted, that wasn't included in the clip, was the article was actually supposed to come out a week earlier. But when NASCAR announced the new schedule, that became the priority. That article went out and this got pushed back a week.
Yep. And you can't run exactly. There's priority. Yeah. And this is not a priority news piece at the time. It became that.
Right.
It turns into something once it's released. But you and I agree that Darrell needs to go.
Yeah.
And we agree with Jenna on that.
Well, I don't think he needs to go. I'm all right. Keep Darrell on the broadcast. Put him in the Hollywood Hotel. Put him in the. He just shouldn't be part of the.
Role.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. He can't have this role anymore, and that's fine. And he did a great job while he was in his prime, and he's past that.
Right.
And he's a great ambassador for the sport, and obviously we love Darrell. We don't want him to go away. He's just not doing a good job.
Right.
And I think that's where we all agree. I think that there's more to this that Jenna's releasing after the pushback that I am wondering, why didn't you just cover your bases in the first place? And that's, again, here's me, easier said than done, right, Eric?
Right.
I mean, you know this better than probably anybody I know.
I just dealt with something like this in a story,
Exactly.
with a story that I dealt with here locally, that, I've been in the situation where and mine was a little different, but where you're getting information from somewhere and they're happy to play along. And then when the article comes out, they wash their hands of it, and suddenly you're the victim. And as soon as you're the one being attacked, and as soon as that happens, they're like, back off. And they're like, oh no, this isn't what, so
Yep.
I have a feeling that I don't know. I'm not going to.
Well, and a good journalist is going to take the information that they have that's accurate.
Right.
It's like they teach us in school, and it's not always about being first. It's about being accurate.
Right. The other thing that Jenna mentioned too, which is, I think it was really interesting, and I've seen it from the inside, is that first of all, an independent media is very important. And I'm saying this as a journalist that, obviously I live this every day, but having an independent media is very, very important. They're what keeps things in line. And we're losing that in NASCAR a lot. Yeah. We don't have that.
We're losing that everywhere. Let's be
right. That's true. But I mean, let's look at NASCAR as an example. Like, we love Bob Pockrass. Bob Pockrass is excellent. But who does Bob Pockrass work for now? Bob works for Fox. Fox is a partner with NASCAR.
Partners, yeah.
Is he going to be rocking the boat? I doubt it. He's going to get a note from his executive at Fox and say, no, back off on that.
Yeah. It's the same thing. Like,
well, it's no different than us. I mean, I'm not going to go into the MIS Media Center and create a big ruckus because without NASCAR, I don't have this opportunity, So like, I'm in the same boat, we're not going to sit there and break these giant stories because, and so
Think about all of the employees for like ESPN or if they ever challenge the NFL,
Right.
and
Oh, yeah.
ESPN doesn't like it, boom, fired, suspended.
Well, and that's
And
sports in
it's
general.
like-
It's
yeah,
so
I'm
screwy
like,
because like in journalism, if you go to an event, you're supposed to pay to get into the event. You're not supposed to get special treatment. You're not supposed to get, but in sports, these guys get press passes. They get fed at the events. They basically get their hands held. And if NASCAR says we don't like your coverage, they just deny your credentials and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can
screwed.
write about it from the outside, but now you don't have the access. The same thing with the NFL. If the NFL says, no, you're not allowed in the building anymore. The Denver Broncos say, nope, sorry, you don't have your credentials anymore. Well, that's it. You're done.
You're
you don't,
screwed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in that case, they control everything. So they can control the team and say the team can't talk to you. Now you've got no source whatsoever.
Right.
So it's screwy, and that's sports journalism. And it's, so I think we need to, again, don't always agree with Jenna at all. But I think we got to respect what she does. And
I respect the heck out of Jenna, and
you know who else
just
respects
because-
Jenna a lot? Tony
Who's that?
Stewart. He's a big fan.
He does love Jenna. Yeah, she's the only one who probably can challenge him for I don't even know what, but no, there's a lot of fluff in NASCAR media, NASCAR podcasting, all this other stuff, right?
Yep.
Jenna is unapologetic and she's truthful and she comes at you like a spider monkey.
Yep.
Right?
It's true.
She
didn't hold any punches in that article, but she wasn't inaccurate.
No, she was exactly. It was good. It was a good piece. Again.
And I want to clarify it. We keep calling it an article, and I'm doing that because everybody called it. It's a column.
Yeah, it's a column. It's an opinion piece.
Right.
But it's the opinion that NASCAR Nation all shared with her until, oh, wait, Daryl decided that he's going to finally announce it.
But I mean, and he deserves it. He deserves the pomp and circumstance and everything. That's
deserves
great.
the walk-off. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, let's put it this way. Yes, the last several years have been kind of pretty cringy at Fox. But Daryl was great when he started. His call at the 2001 Daytona 500 was excellent. I mean, he's done a lot of great things in the broadcast booth.
Yep.
And he deserves every bit of praise he gets.
Yep.
But Daryl has a history of sticking around too long, and he's doing it again.
He's 72 years old.
And I really believe, and they talked about this on DBC as well, that he wouldn't still be there right now if Junior would have chosen Fox instead of NBC.
Right.
Because Junior was the replacement. And now Fox is waiting for...
They got Harvick in the...
They're waiting for Harvick or Knaus to come on board, and they're not ready yet. So DW is stringing along, and...
Yep.
So,
they got to do something else.
Yep. But they've got a couple guys in Jamie McMurray.
McMurray, that's what I was just going to say. McMurray's lurking.
Yeah.
There's guys that can come in there and help out.
McMurray would be excellent. He'd be great. I think we need to get McMurray and McReynolds to the track, and they talked about that on DBC too.
Yeah, and I like Allmendinger kind of floating around on like the pit road side. I think he's been, from what I've seen from him, he's been good too. So. Yep.
So they've got they've got the pieces they need. So
yeah, there's guys out there. They'll find it.
All right, let's move on to the more news. James, you get the next one.
Yeah, so at Bristol, Joe Gibbs in the Kyle Busch's victory press conference was asked again about Christopher Bell and Eric Jones, and he says he's got long-term plans for both. And Eric Jones early in the week basically said as much, said he's nearing a contract extension with Gibbs and his sponsors. So my question for you, Eric, so they've got long-term plans for these guys, but how long do you keep an overqualified driver in the Xfinity Series?
Well, if they've got him locked down, let's put it this way. The longer he's down there gaining experience.
Yeah, but I think he's got to come up.
I think so too.
But
I mean, I don't know, man.
I'll let you finish your point, because here's the thing. He's already he didn't win the championship, but I don't care as much about the Xfinity championships and truck championships.
Yeah, but here I have two words for you. Sorry to cut you off.
No, go for it.
2 words for you. William Byron.
Yeah.
I mean, hottest thing in the world in those other 2 series.
Yep.
And here he is. I mean, no offense, stinking it up in the Cup Series. And yes, he's driving a Chevy. He's running for Hendrick right now, and Hendrick's struggling.
He's also what, 5 years younger than Christopher Bell?
Still. True. But and also a lot less experience. But that's the thing, is these kids come up with so little experience. Okay, I got another one for you. Joey Logano.
Well, yeah, and he proved over time.
Kevin
that he-
Harvick.
Yeah.
These are
But
guys
you're
that
na-
came up too quick.
But no, but you're also naming guys who became champions in the sport.
Right, but
as
would they have been better? Would they? I mean,
well.
think about it.
The book on William Byron is not written yet.
Right, but that's what I'm saying though, James. If you go back in history, and yes, the competition's different, but Tony Stewart won in his first season. Dale Jr. won in his first season.
And he was garbage in the Xfinity Series.
Right. Jimmy Johnson won in his first season.
Stewart, that is.
Right. Jimmy Johnson won in his first season. All these guys used to win.
They won races, but
Davey Allison won in his first season.
What is better to be plateaued and crushing everybody in the Xfinity Series, or to have seat time in the Cup Series? What do you think is more valuable?
I think it depends on how quick your stock runs out.
Because I think Christopher Bell, he's just at this point he's proven everything he needs to prove in the Xfinity Series, and he's just wasting a little bit of time in the Xfinity Series.
How many years is William Byron going to get to flounder before they say, "Oh, I guess he's not going to live up to it," and he gets the boot?
Yeah, he should be hanging around at least 5 years. You got to give these guys at least.
Yeah, but he doesn't have that if the sponsors don't stick with him. If Exalta says, "Sorry, it's not working," he's gone.
Right. Well, yeah, I know that's the catch-22 of it. That's the part of the problem.
So that's
Like
the
Joey-
issue, I think.
Joey
I don't know if
Logano-
there's room for more young guys to come up here and flounder right now.
Well,
Not
if you
saying
give
Christopher Bell will, but he
right,
could.
but if you give Joey Logano a little bit more time at Gibbs, I mean, you look what he did at Penske, and he could have been doing the same thing at Gibbs. He just a change of scenery, and boom, he took off. But
Yeah, but I think Joey Logano will tell you he came up too early.
and he'll say that, but he came up at 18 years old. Christopher Bell is 23, 24, right? He's
Yeah,
I mean,
but as far as experience in the lower series, it's similar.
I just think it's different when and William Byron's the same thing. He's just he's a man, but he's a boy, and he's a boy among the men right now.
I'm not saying that Christopher Bell shouldn't come up. I'm just saying that he's not hurting anything not coming up.
Yeah. Well,
I think he's better off staying
Chase
relevant
Elliott
in the Xfinity Series.
Chase Elliott come up too soon, or did he come up at the right time? Because he didn't do anything for his first 3 years in the series until he finally broke through at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, maybe. I mean he won. He ran 2 years in Xfinity, right? I think
The championship. He won a championship. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's tough.
It's delicate
It's really
balance.
tough.
I think Christopher Bell's an interesting. He's an interesting case because he has shown the wheelman talent that he's every bit as good as Kyle Larson.
Right, but
He's
Kyle
done-
Larson hasn't done crap either.
Well,
But that's what I'm saying, it's just I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I get it.
There isn't a good argument. The last good argument for bringing somebody up that young is Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, but here's another point though.
Tony
too.
Stewart, but
Tony
Stewart had tons of experience.
He was an IRL champion.
Yeah.
He was, yeah. But here's another thing too. There was a lot more parity in the sport back in those days. You look at these last couple of years of NASCAR. You've got top level teams, and then you've got
come on. There's been top level teams forever.
Yeah, I know. But when Stewart came into the sport, I mean, Gibbs was on par with Hendrick and
What was
Yates.
Robert Yates doing when Davey Allison came up?
Well, that was a brand new team.
Exactly. Davey won in his first year as a rookie.
Again,
And that was even worse. Back then, there were a couple teams that could win.
there was a lot more room. It was a totally different sport back then,
Oh
though.
man, James, you just can't admit you're wrong, can you?
I'm not wrong. I'm never wrong.
Like I said, I think that the last good example that you have, and it's really one of the only examples that you can have of a guy that really came up and lived up to expectations is Jeff Gordon. That came up early like that.
Yeah, and he didn't win his first year though. I mean, he wasn't the Wonder Boy until his.
He won a race in his first year.
Not in the Cup Series.
Are you sure? Do you have it pulled up right now?
Oh, I think I won this battle. Yes. He did not win his rookie season. He won in 1994. 2 races in 94. I did not pull it up.
There's 2 Jeff
can't wait.
Gordons. You
There's
know there's
2
another Jeff Gordon?
Was there 2 Jeff Gordons?
Yeah.
No, that I don't know. That I don't. I can't fact check that for you.
All right, you're right. Jeff Gordon didn't win in his first season.
Yes.
He had 7 top 5s. Yeah, it's nothing in a 30 race season.
So we have come full circle on this.
I'm still right. You're wrong.
Get Christopher Bell in the Cup Series, and I want to know where they're going and what people are doing.
That's the biggest thing is I mean, I guess it's the best problem you can have if you're Gibbs, that you've got so much talent, you don't know what to do with it.
I texted you last week. I said I would love Christopher Bell and Cole Pern to be teamed up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Martin Truex. You gotta go.
I mean, the thing is though, is even if they keep him in the Xfinity series for another year, you're right. I mean, regardless of whether he should come up or not, or whether it's going to hurt him, it's not going to happen.
Right. When the whole world knows that you should be in the Cup Series,
right?
And Joe Gibbs like, well, Christopher, you got to wait another year in the Xfinity Series. What does that do to his mental state? Like,
yeah,
that's got to be a little bit demoralizing.
But I don't see them doing the loaner thing again like they did with Eric Jones.
Well, somebody's got to move. Somebody's got to move. Hamlin, Truex, somebody.
I think Hamlin's saving his job this year, personally.
Possibly.
Because I know he's got a long-term contract and all that crap, but contracts mean nothing at Joe Gibbs.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No, they don't.
He's proven that a few times.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding.
So I don't know. We could discuss this forever, man. We're going long.
Yeah, we got heated on that debate there a little bit.
I know.
That.
I know.
Now we're going to a topic that
It's the first time we haven't like.
We
didn't come to an agreement. We still don't agree on this.
No, we don't.
All right, go ahead and take the next one, James.
No, this one I'm actually really excited about, and we won't talk about it that much. So Johnson had a nice piece in Runner's World magazine, which I read quite a bit. He's ready to go after Boston, man. And with the weather that is lurking, he might have to race Richmond on Sunday and run a full marathon in Boston on Monday. That is ridiculous to me. I don't know how he's gonna do it. He's got to be nervous about this whole thing. What do you think about? I don't know if you had a chance to read the piece that Johnson did with Runner's World, but he just talked about the grueling process that goes into running a marathon. And I mean, I am so invested in Johnson running this race that I think I'm more excited about it than I am for Richmond.
That's funny. I don't care, but I understand your your excitement.
My two worlds are colliding. I love long distance running and I love NASCAR racing, and Johnson is doing this really cool thing. I mean, if you run, anybody out there who's a runner, like Boston is the pinnacle. Like you would want to run Boston. If you were going to run a marathon, Boston's the one. Like it's the Daytona 500. And Johnson's going to try to do this thing.
No, it's awesome. Jimmy's he's a freaking beast, man.
Yeah, he's a freak, man.
He is. I don't have any doubt that he can do it.
He's shooting for a 3 hour, a sub 3 hour finishing time, and that to me is just as crazy as just doing the thing in the first place.
But I mean, this guy has done this. I mean, this is not like this is anything new. He's run miles and miles and miles the day of races before.
Yeah, he's run.
I know a marathon's a different deal, but
he's ridden his bike.
Yeah.
He's
nuts.
Yeah, he's a fitness freak, but
that's why anybody who says Jimmy's out of shape or Jimmy can't do this because of his age obviously doesn't know Jimmy Johnson.
And let me tell you, I'm not Jimmy Johnson. Listen, I'm not comparing myself to Jimmy Johnson, but I've been through this process, and he talks in this article, and we've linked it in the show notes. But Runner's World has a paywall now, so be careful. It's stupid. And I hate it. But he talks about how mentally challenging it is to prepare for a marathon, how it really compares to being a NASCAR race car driver. And I just found that he just kind of talks about the parallels a little bit, and I found that fascinating. How basically these guys mentally are running marathons every week. They're in the car for 4 hours doing these races, and just because you're in a seat doesn't mean that your mind isn't going through the same type of grueling process. So
right.
It's just really cool. And, I'll keep track of Jimmy on Monday, and I can't wait to kind of fill everybody in and see how he did compared to some of the, really good runners that are going to be running in Boston this year. So it'll be cool.
Don't forget to put a recap in the show notes next week.
I'll do a full recap on Jimmy's finish. I'll take a look at his average finishing stats and all that stuff like I do for any other race. We're just changing the sport a little bit.
There you go. Last news item before we head to our picks for Richmond. NASCAR reportedly turned down an extension with Monster Energy for 2020 so it can begin its new sponsorship model with the tiered system. Sounds like Monster could become a lower tier sponsor instead. First of all, this doesn't surprise me any because we've already understood based on past experiences with Kurt Busch and with NASCAR and Monster that Monster likes to wait to the last minute to come to agreements. And actually, this is kind of early for Monster to be coming up with something, but not surprised at all. And NASCAR's already been, they've been talking to people since last year when they weren't sure if Monster was going to re-up to plan the system out. So NASCAR's in a place right now where it's too late to turn the ship around. It's already sailing.
Well,
and
if we know anything about NASCAR, they always go for the dollar signs, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
They turn this deal down because there's a more lucrative.
Yeah. Instead of this $20 million sponsorship, they're probably going to make $40 million off of 3 sponsors.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. They've got themselves there's this tells me that they've already got things ready to roll.
Well, this tells me that it's just another example why we shouldn't be worrying about attendance, because obviously things are going pretty well for NASCAR for them to turn down a title sponsor.
NASCAR's not turning down money to lose money. Let's be real. I mean, I was a little bit surprised they didn't take the deal and go one more year of trying to find sponsors. But this is a positive sign of the economics of the sport, I think.
I think this says they've already got people signed on.
Yep, I think so.
So
I think they're just dotting I's and crossing T's.
Yep. All right.
I wonder if they're going to keep calling it the Monster Energy Cup, though. Will Monster get to keep the cup?
I don't know.
There's a lot of we'll find out.
I don't know. It'd be interesting. Hopefully whatever we come up with a final name that we can just stick with and never change it again.
Please God.
Just the NASCAR Cup Series or whatever.
Bring back Winston. I don't care if there's cigarettes.
How about the Bill France Jr. Cup Series? Let's name the trophy after somebody.
I mean, all the other sports have trophies named after important people. I like that.
The Dale Earnhardt Cup.
Yeah, there you go.
Good.
Well, then
we'd get on board with that.
Well, we'd have to make it a 3-way. It'd have to be the Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, Jimmy Johnson Memorial Cup.
Yeah, there you go. We can't do a Jimmy Johnson, Richard Petty Memorial Cup though yet because it's not a memorial. They're still alive.
True.
It's like the Michael Scott Office thing.
Right.
Anyway, Toyota Owners 400 Richmond Raceway this weekend. I still can't get used to Richmond Raceway. These tracks need to just keep the name the same, for God's sakes. Yeah. We go to Richmond this weekend. We get short track racing again. It's supposed to be a night race, but you alluded to weather issues, right?
Yeah, it looks like there's going to be some weather coming in. I think us in Michigan, we're going to get the touch of it today or tonight and into tomorrow, and I think it's working its way east. So
tomorrow, man. Tomorrow it's coming. That's why as soon as this podcast is done, I'm driving 2.5 hours to Sault Ste. Marie, so...
Gotta go across the bridge, baby.
Yep. I'm leaving the country. After talking to James, I gotta leave the country. I've had enough.
This podcast almost went international, but we couldn't quite pull it off.
Almost. So yeah, we go to Richmond, get some short track racing in. I'm gonna bust through these picks kind of quick instead of dragging this out.
Let's do it.
I get the first pick, right? You have that officially?
You go. Yep, you go first.
I don't even know why I'm looking at my stats because I already know who my first pick was. I've been thinking about it all day. I honestly have been thinking about it all day, and I'm not. I go back and forth on this banning drivers. I really don't want to ban drivers because I don't know. I just don't want to ban drivers.
All right, let's not ban drivers.
But I'm still not picking the driver that I was going to ban. I'm going Denny Hamlin instead.
Dang it, you took my guy.
I think Denny's good at Richmond, and he's been good lately.
Yeah, he's got a good kind of a role going this year.
Yep.
So
I'm going Denny.
All right. Well, I'm going to go a little bit on a limb, just based on his current season performance. I'm going to go Kyle Larson. He's been really good there. Recently, he's got a win here and a 9.7 average finish. So Kyle Larson, I'm going to take him as my favorite. I'm feeling like that's going to come back and bite me, but I like it. I don't care.
All right. Who's your dark horse?
Oh man. I don't know. No. I'm going to go with, man, you know who I think has been running pretty decent this year and not getting enough credit is Chris Buescher. So I will take Chris Buescher. He's way down there. I have nothing good to report from his current statistics, but that's okay.
Sure, I just spelled his name wrong, but I'll fix it before I post the show notes. Oh, yeah, I got the E and the U backwards. Oh, and my wife just turned the lights out in my room. I guess it's time to end the podcast, James. I'm going to go for my dark horse. I'm going to go Martin Truex Jr.
Excuse me.
Hey, he's never won at Richmond.
He's not very good there.
No, he is though. He's dominated there the last 2 years, and
Well, I mean,
then
yeah, since again, that's
crashes
one
or
of those,
loses. I'm not really picking him, but
since he went with the 78 car, yeah, he did turn it back up a little bit, but yeah.
I'd love to pick him, but I can't do that. God, I'm not gonna go Daniel Suarez too because that one's too easy. I'm gonna go Ryan Newman. He's pretty high up there on the list, and he's I think he's. I mean, let's put it this way: we laughed about Newman going to the 6 car last year, but
He's done pretty well.
he is actually impressing in the 6 car. So
Yeah, he's like the reverse.
can I pick
Truex.
Ryan
Yeah,
Newman as a dark horse? Is that
Yeah, I'm gonna allow it because he's doing the reverse Truex. He was really good early in his career at Richmond,
right?
and not so much lately. So yeah, he's got 12.6 average finish for his career, so pretty good considering he's top 10 among drivers. But yeah, I like that pick for you. That's good. I'll allow it.
Okay. I mean,
I could have went Daniel Suarez, but
it seems a little strange to have an 18 win driver as a dark horse, but
right. Well, Daniel Suarez, so he has 4 starts here and an 11.5 average finish. That's pretty good.
yeah.
2 top 10s. So I thought maybe you might go there.
I was going to, but it seems I hate picking dark horse guys that are that high up. I mean,
He's really
Newman's
good.
not that far down, but Newman, like you said, has a lot of those stats are from before.
And he's
he
in a
was with-
car. It's about the car they drive too. That's part of this whole
Yeah.
thing.
I don't. Honestly, my dark horse generally isn't somebody I expect to win. So
Right. Exactly.
all right, James, you got a shout out this week.
Yeah, my buddy Ian, he was at the Masters today in Augusta, Georgia.
Nice.
And it was kind of texting me beforehand, and that's one of those places, man. I just wanted to talk about it really quick, where like you feel the ghosts. Like I feel like we've been places that are similar. There's probably nothing that compares to going to the Masters.
Right.
I feel like that's one of those sports where that's one of those venues that's like super iconic. But like we've both been to Daytona. I've got to walk on the field at the University of Michigan.
Me too. I got to be on the field at University of Michigan during a game.
So like it's exactly. It's like
Got to see the Brickyard.
There's places where you can feel the ghosts.
Yeah.
And that relates to NASCAR in a way, but I just thought it was cool that he's at the Masters and wanted to give him a quick shout out. But I can't think of another sporting venue I would want to see more than that in my life at this point. There's a few on my list, and that one's up there.
That's interesting.
Yeah, really
It's
cool.
Not even on my list.
I know, and it's not even a tournament day. He got tickets. Like I think there's a lottery that you have to get tickets for. Like
Okay.
it's kind of you get drawn, and he got drawn for the Wednesday tickets, so he could walk the course, and then he got to be at the par 3 tournament today. So pretty cool. It's just one of those iconic American sports. It doesn't get more American than the Masters, the Indy 500. Like those are like American iconic sporting events, and it's just really cool.
Nice. I got a couple shout outs. Mine are all podcast related this week. First of all, if you guys aren't listening to the Dirty Mo Media podcast, specifically I'm talking about Dale Jr. Download and Door Bumper Clear, they've had some excellent guests lately. Just listen to the Richard Childress episode of Dale Jr. Download.
Hold my watch.
Yeah, some excellent, and yeah, that story is Richard talks about that story and much more. Some really interesting stuff about how he met Dale and how Earnhardt became his driver and just really interesting stuff. Excellent podcast. Door Bumper Clear, of course, had Jenna Fryer on this week. They had Bob Pockers on last week, which is excellent. Again, Juniors he had Kurt Shelmerdine on. He had Rusty Wallace on. Just some excellent guests. They're doing a really good job bringing guests in there. I think a lot of it has to do, at least Juniors podcast with NASCAR or with NBC because they're broadcasting it on NBC as well. But the Door Bumper Clear guys are interesting. First of all, they focus a lot on media stuff. I think because as a spotter, you see a lot of the media people going up into the press box. And when there's a rain delay or whatever, a lot of times they'll duck into the press box. So they interact with the media more than some of the drivers and whatnot.
I got yelled at by a spotter one time.
Yeah. Nice.
I should tell that story on the podcast sometime. Today's not that day.
So, but the spotters see the race more from our point of view a lot of times too, because they're up in the stands and watching it from that aspect. It's fun to listen to, of course, Door Bumper Clear's TJ Majors and Brett Griffin. And it's fun to listen to them talk about, I was driving or I was running this position. I was doing it's like, cause they're not in the car, but they're in the car, man. That's how it is. They're part of that team. So,
part of it as anybody else.
Yeah, pretty neat there. Dinner with Racers, I plugged that a while ago on the podcast. They're back at it again, adding new episodes. Just listened to today to the episode with Bobby Allison, which was excellent.
That's
a lot of history with Bobby Allison, how he got into NASCAR and all that. Basically, his parents trying to keep him away from racing. He ended up racing under a false name to start his career, and his dad discovered it and told him, if you're going to do it right and use your name. So it's pretty interesting. Jeff Gluck's 12 questions have been excellent, as always. I'm a big fan of him this year because his first one is whether drivers use an iPhone or an Android phone.
Yeah, nobody has said Android yet.
Nobody has said Android yet. Yeah. But I wanted to point out that Paul Menard's was interesting, James.
Oh,
I actually enjoyed it. I put off listening to it because I thought I was going to hate it, but it was good. And he even laughed a couple times. I wish.
What's this Paul Menard love fest on this podcast today?
Well,
Lord.
I love Paul Menard just because you hate him, even though I'm not a big fan either. But no, his was good, and Corey LaJoy's was excellent. LaJoy takes a shot at Harvick's team during his.
LaJoy's good,
questions.
yeah.
He doesn't hold back, man. He's good. He's fun to listen to.
The latest one today was John Hunter Nemechek, and he's really insightful. I really enjoyed John Hunter as well.
When I did search earlier, it wasn't up yet, so I will, on my way to Sault Ste. Marie, I'll listen to it tonight.
Yep, perfect. It's 19 minutes long. It's my drive home today, so
perfect.
I just loved it. It was good.
That's the nice thing about him is his 12 questions are perfect length for me getting ready in the morning. I have a Bluetooth speaker in the bathroom. I click that on, listen to 12 questions, and get ready. So
little micro pod. I love them.
There you go. So unlike us, who go an hour and 17 minutes.
Hey, we haven't done this in a while, so that's good.
Right. Of course, it's when I have to drive after we're done.
Sorry.
Let's hit the fantasy league real quick, which I haven't even looked at yet.
Oh man, I had a good week this week. I don't even think I won though. I was pretty proud of my week. I did have to make a sub, I think, at one point though.
Yeah, I didn't watch the race live, so I didn't have the opportunity to sub.
Yeah, it was not pretty for a few of us. I'm in 2 fantasy leagues this year, which is really putting a strain on my. It's just putting a strain on my life. I don't need it in my life. I don't need so many fantasy leagues.
Dang, you got second, James. That's pretty good.
I know.
Ranger Runyon took the win this week, 202 points. James came second. Justin 713 third. I finished fourth, which I intentionally left Kyle out for some reason, mostly because I've just been using him too much. And I think I had Eric Jones in there, which looked good for a while, and then Ricky Stenhouse, and just kind of got screwed by the day. And Hurricane Ditka finished behind me in 5th. Freight Train 295 6th. Scoters was 7th. Scoters got a whopping 69 points, so good day for him.
Thank you, Scoters. You helped me get off the schneid. Yeah. I am in 6th place overall in the league.
Yeah,
it was a big day.
I haven't checked Scoters. Did he just leave and not participate anymore?
I think he's still hanging around. Okay, I just think it was bad. I think Bristol was a bad week.
Justin 713 leads the points right now. Hurricane Ditka 2nd. Freight Train 295 3rd. Ranger Runyon 4th. I'm in 5th. James, I'm coming back to you. You're coming to me. James is up to 6th, and Scoters is last.
I'm still over 130, almost 130 points behind you, so I am still making up a ton of ground at this point.
Yeah,
I have a long way to go.
It's rough. It's rough.
Yeah,
we're not supposed to win our own league, right?
We are not representing well. That is for sure.
All right, James, where can they find you on social media if they want to talk to you during the week?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast on there, show notes with links to all the articles we've discussed and much more, including some coverage of races and more coming up this summer. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud, wherever you heard us today. We hope you subscribe. And if you like the show and you want to become a part of it, you want to help us out, become a patron at patreon.com/thesuperspeedway. Anything else, James, before we head on out of here?
No, you got to get going, though.
Yes.
You got hockey to go cover.
I got hockey to go cover. I'm leaving a night early because of snow, and I just got home from Sault Ste. Marie at 3 o'clock today, and it's 9:22 as we're recording this right now, and as soon as this sucker's posted, I'm heading back north.
Say hi and bye to the kids and the wife, and out of here.
Peace out. And the dog. Got to say bye to the dog.
Oh,
too.
and the dog. Don't forget the dog. My dog's staring at me through the glass window in my office right now. So
waiting for you to get done.
Yeah, just watching me like a hawk, and it freaks me out sometimes.
That's funny. I love Walt. All right, with that, we head to Richmond this weekend, and we'll be back next week to discuss it. And then we got an off week for Easter, and then we get Talladega, so can't beat that. Lots of good racing coming up. We'll talk short track next week once again. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.